what really helped us out with the music scene was Gary at Bohemian Pizza, because I had got back into drumming in about 2016 and had been practicing with some friends maybe for a couple months, and I had gone into Bohemian Pizza just to find out, if they take bands, how what does it take to play there, thinking that he would probably say, maybe 6 months down the line. Instead, he told us that we could play there in a week if we wanted to. And I said, but we really haven't played too much. He said, doesn't matter, just come on down. So um Gary at Bohemian has been extremely supportive of us, and over the last 5 years we've gotten to a point where we've played some really decent paying shows for a bunch of dads, and what we started out as, it was three dads and two teenagers. We play a wide range of music, from 70s classic rock to 80s heavy metal to hip hop songs, to Beatles. I think one of the good things about having such a diverse, not only age range, but musical taste group, is that the difference in music that we play from song to song is pretty significant. We go back and play 60s Motown, Sam Cooke, and then the next song could be something from the Wu-Tang Clan. Personally, my the genre, I don't really have a favorite genre, and it's just sort of listening to any genre that sounds good. So I kind of grew up listening to 80s heavy metal, and then it kind of morphed into to where I listen to mariachi music sometimes. I think what music does for me, and it all depends upon my mood. If I'm working, I want to listen to something that's generally upbeat and motivating. Um, but for me, I mean, music just seems to make everything better or easier. And as contradictory as it sounds, music seems to help me focus.
Yeah.
Working out music is different. If you're kind of in a bad mood or upset about something, maybe listen to some hardcore hard rock music. I think because we have such a varied array of musical options, it kind of fits any mood you have. I'm a big fan of the Dave Matthews Band, and he's probably has hundreds and hundreds of songs. So I would probably pick any one of his songs, at least that have sort of come after he when he was big on the radio in the 90s. Any song aside from those songs that kind of got overplayed. I think the musicians in his band are just top notch, in addition to his songwriting. Just puts together something that there's 100 of them that I like. So it's really anything from the Dave Matthews Band. But I think some music you actually feel. Um, and that's the difference. And I'll be sitting in the car with the kids listening to certain songs, and I'll be, because my kids are pretty split on music. Nick's not really into music. Maddie's into music. So I spend a lot of time trying to get Nick into liking different things. And there's songs that you actually there's feeling involved. So that's kind of what it does for me. And it's not every song, and it's not a lot of songs either, but there's definitely a difference from hearing and feeling. For me, when I was a kid, the music that my parents listened to, I wasn't really into. But I find as an adult, I'm into that music now. Oh, Neil Diamond and all of the sort of the oldie songs that my dad listened to, I didn't really like back then, but now as an adult, there's some of the first things that I go to. I don't know that if it's sort of a association thing, tying it into childhood memories, but then at the same time, you think about that those people have stood the test of time, and it's difficult, and I think my kids now don't really find too much interest in what I listen to, even though that it's so varied. Um, but I think it's going to take time. In order to connect with your kids, I think for me at least, I found it's difficult connecting the generations until after they've had a broad range of exposure to different types of music. It's just about exposure, exposing them to different types of music and exposing them to a wide range of options is probably the only way to find some sort of connection. Right now, because I was a drummer for 7 years as a kid, and then I stopped for 18 years, and then I got back into it six about 6 years ago. And there's such a flood of drummers and musicians on YouTube and Instagram, um, that you just have. And generally, I find that the musicians that I'm influenced by are generally musicians who take the time to give lessons and play things that I could sort of work up to. So KJ Rice is a YouTube guy who had been around for 10 years up until 2013, and then he disappeared. So I find myself watching a lot of his videos. Chad Smith is the drummer for the Chili Peppers, so I find myself watching his video. Um, there's a guy by the name of Thomas Pridgen who is, I really can't do any of the things that he plays, but he just, I mean, there's people who can just do things with instruments, and piano's just the same. Any instrument, any of the professionals have just such a heightened ability from practicing for decades that it's just amazing. So, and then of course my favorite drummer of all time is, um, the drummer for the Dave Matthews Band, who's Carter Beauford. Take drums out of any song that normally has drums in them, it's like there's something missing. Just like you remove anything. But again, I started playing drums when I was in first grade, and then got out of it for a while when I was in high school, and then got back into it as an adult. Um, I'm kind of a busy person, and for me, the drums, I guess maybe just an escape from every day. I mean, it's just, somebody always said that you think about when you were between the ages of 9 and 14, and you figure out what you did when you were that age and what you did to have fun, and do it again as an adult, and then you should be able to find fun. So I ride bikes a lot, I play drums a lot, I play baseball a lot. um, but I think drums and essentially is the backbone of any musical group. I mean, of course, you have acoustic sounds, but I think it lays down the basis for any music. Support your local musicians, and unfortunately, musicians who play out in bars and restaurants now get paid about the same that they got paid in 1970. And so, you think about the way that the economy has progressed over the last, 40 years. Um, but the pay for musicians who are, independent musicians playing out, trying to make a few extra bucks, has never gone up. So, I mean, I love seeing local music. So I would just say, get out there, support your friends, your community with local music.